Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Today we're going to learn about what it's like going into the inner realm of the spirit world, you could say, with somebody who's not, how do I say, he's no stranger to drugs, but he's interested. He's going to explain about what it was like taking his DMT. It's nice to have you here today.
Yeah, it's nice to be in the car. What a great idea you've got here with the podcast. I think it's excellent.
So tell us a bit about your experience, like who you were.
Okay. Right, so first of all, I'll just tell you that I've kind of done loads of acid and loads of hallucinogens, and I think hallucinogens are important for humanity, and I think that people can go and work their own thing out on that, but I think hallucinogens, first of all, are important. So I've experimented with lots of different hallucinogens over the years and had some far out experiences, and I'm going to tell you about the DMT one, because the DMT experience was something that took me way past anything any other hallucinogens have done. When I took it, I put too much in the bowl. I thought that you could put, just dip it in there and hit it. Oh no, you must do a very controlled dose. And so first of all, it rugby tackled me. I took a hit on the pipe of it, and it literally ran at me and just bowled me over as if it was 3 American football players, just bang. And
were you sitting down on something?
I was sat on my bed. Yeah, I was sat on my bed, and I'd taken it a few times before, so I wasn't frightened to take it on my own. But I don't recommend that anybody does take it on their own for their first try. And I recommend putting 1/20th of a gram in the bowl to smoke, not more, because I put half a gram in there and it fucking took me to space. I apologise to swear. It took me into a place that was, well, I kind of panicked, which is rare for me. And on 1 minute I'm laughing hysterically because I'm genuinely blown away by these. So the message that you get through comes via a visual representation of a kind of a rotating, almost like an Aztec. There's hundreds of these Aztec expressions, facial expressions, that are in like a circular kind of like a spiral that's just kind of non-stop, but it kind of changes shape to shapes that I can't describe to you. And but all the time rotating and moving, and just it's frightening, actually. I think that's probably the word for it. It blew me away. Anyway, so I'm laughing my head off, but then I'm also shouting at myself, going, fucking calm down and take a breath and chill. And then laughing and going, this is mental. And I was kind of I was lucky that I was in my flat on my own. My flatmate wasn't in, because it would have freaked her out. So I'm busting around in the flat and in my room, basically retching now because I've overpowered my body with this drug. It's far too much, but still laughing and then still being terrified. And I didn't, by this point, I kind of had to reconcile that when I come to my senses, I may have just shit the bed. I could, because I was so out of my head. I don't know if I've still got control of my bladder or my bowel or whatever. And I was retching, so I thought maybe my body's just trying to evacuate everything. But where is my body, and who is this? Who am I? And this was the thing that blew me away, is I didn't really know, one of the other things that blew me away, I didn't know who I was. Like I couldn't tell myself. I mean, it probably sounds terrible to people, and people don't want to do it, but I can't wait to do it again, knowing what's coming.
Did you realise at that moment you were were you in another world and you didn't realise you were in another world, or
I've got presence when I'm high in most situations, so I knew I was hitting a trip, because I remember telling myself one of the things that I was kind of like, see it through, you come down in like 10 minutes, the effects of it only last 10-15 minutes. And so
did it feel that long, or did it feel much longer?
Time is largely irrelevant when you're in the thick of something like that. I think it would possibly feel a lot longer, but I was very keen to try and maintain a link to the third dimension, because I was very close to panic. Like, I knew I needed air, but I'd already when I'd taken it before, and I'd kind of gone through a table molecularly, which I know is impossible from the 3D aspect, but I definitely did it. My hand went through the table, and I know my table was there, and it was just like, whoa, you could do that. And it does some strange things with time and light that I can't describe as a 3D human. The
When you say third dimension, what do you mean?
Well, I said where we are now, so
Okay.
how our perceptions
Oh,
are
I see
now.
what you mean. Yeah.
So, for instance, I asked our AI recently to draw or to produce an image that would describe something in the fourth dimension, but in a way that a human being could comprehend it.
Mm-hmm.
And it drew back a really cool picture that was not unlike a cube, but had the lines around it. It can't be fourth dimensional and just be a cube. Do you know what I mean? There is another dimension to that. It's called a tesseract on this bit, I think. And it's a really weird shape, but it's a cool. You should check that out. You should do that with AI and get them to draw some 4D stuff, because it might give you an idea of what the fourth dimension looks like. It's far out. I mean, I know it probably doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but it makes you think in ways that you hadn't thought before. I think all hallucinogens do. They expand your mind to an enormous level.
You said you managed to put your hand through the table.
Yeah.
So when you managed to put your hand through the table, obviously at that, I can't say obviously, so at that time you weren't in reality of the flesh.
No,
say.
I guess not. I kind of was and wasn't. So I was in my room again. I'd smoked it. My flatmate was in. I'd had some. It was fun. I was just kind of bodding around in my room, probably listening to some music. And I was kind of like, I've got to go and put something down. And so I had a table in front of me, and I've gone to sort of put it down or put my hand down there for some reason. I can't quite remember what that was all about, where that was. But I've gone past the line. Like, the line's got to be there. Your spatial awareness is, I mean, it's obviously drastically affected, but you kind of know where your stuff is. You know, you can get up and walk to the toilet. Do you know what I mean? You're not sort of floating around, especially after a more subtle dose. So my hand, from a certain perspective, then we're all just molecules, and you could, from some perspective, go through that, but we're vibrating at a certain level that gives us solidity. In this instance, my hand seemed to go through it as if I'd gone through the chair in front of us here, in front of the seat, and it seemed to go through it, and I just remember just going, wow. Just wow. I think the thing that really that blew me away the most is when I had done a fairly controlled dose, and let's say you go through a process, like for instance we're driving now into the West End, right? And in this next sort of 3 or 4 seconds we're going to pull up to these red lights and stop, right? And then what happens there, something similar to that, but then all of a sudden I'm doing it again, and I'm driving up to these red lights and stopping. It's that it messes with time. It does that. That worried me, because I thought, what is happening while I'm in that space between this, you know what I mean, the first and second times that happens? What am I doing if I'm not? Because you can't do that same thing twice exactly, because you get the awareness that everything is the same. So I'm like, where am I during that experience? Because I'm mentally not here. So that was a bit freaky.
I got 2 quick questions.
Yes, go for it quick. It'll be real quick.
You say you've always taken some substance.
Yeah, for a long time, since I was a young kid.
Why? And the other question is, why do you said at the start that everybody should experience taking DMT? Why is that?
Maybe not necessarily DMT, but I think everybody needs to experience hallucinogens, because I think that they expand your thought potential exponentially, hugely. I tried to get my mum and my daughter to take mushrooms with the 3 of us together, because it's quite a fractured family, and I thought that might allow us all to speak very freely. A lot of these drugs were used initially in therapy, and are used again now in the 2000s plus in therapies. They are very, very good at opening people up and allowing people to express themselves, and allowing people to consider possibilities that they may not have already considered from the mindset that they may be in before. You know, I think it's very important for human beings to take hallucinogens. I think it's the reason we speak. If you, Terence McKenna certainly has a theory about that, which I'd put some money behind that.
Okay.
And why do I take them? I think it's a combination of escapism when I was a kid and then getting caught into addictions. But also, I just think that they're quite amazing. I mean, I remember in the what would it have been, late 80s, early 90s, when me and my bunch of people who took ecstasy and were part of that whole acid house thing. We thought we were going to change the world, and I think we scared the government. You know what I mean? They brought in the criminal justice bill pretty much on the back of that, I think. I do think people get high. They have done for thousands of years, and I think they should continue to.
How old is your daughter that you encouraged to take it?
She's 25.
So did you all try that experience
Well,
together?
no, she didn't. Neither my mum or my daughter wanted to go for that.
Okay.
Which was up to them, I guess. But I thought it would be a great experience, and I think they lost out there.
Would you say it's a road that travelled that not everybody can manage?
I think it's a road travelled that not everybody would want to go back and revisit. Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of people that don't like. I mean, I like deep water. I like being out of control in that way. It's very, very interesting. Or yeah. So I think the fear. There was an experience once on ketamine that really scared me, and then I kind of went, okay, well, I can't come down. I'm not going to come down until I've had some sleep. So let me check this out. And I went off into space, and wow, maybe a story if you ever pick me up again. It was pretty cool.
Do you find that doing what you do helps you with any demons of the past?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the first instance it helped me escape them when I was too young and I couldn't handle them. What was going on in my life was horrible and I couldn't handle it and I needed to escape somehow. And I'm really, really glad I took drugs rather than got into booze, something like that, because I think they're terrible and I don't drink alcohol at all now.
So. The drugs, are there certain drugs you won't do, like heroin and
No, I don't think so.
cocaine?
No, I mean, there's certain, I've tried heroin. I didn't like it. It made me throw up. And I don't see the fun in that. But I think like a lot of people, you've got your high or you've got your experience. Like you might want to be a rock climber or do like paragliding or, you know what I mean? You want to get your scares somewhere. Some people might want to ride a motorbike. I got my scares here mentally.
On road ahead.
I just think it's so much fun. I've got to be honest. I think it's so wild, especially with hallucinogens, how far you can think. Like there was a guy called Moondog years ago. He was a composer, and he would stand on the corner in New York, just kind of dressed a bit like a Viking, and he was totally blind, and he would listen, and he could listen for miles. Is the way that it was described. And I think that human beings don't test their capabilities in even the most remote way. And I think hallucinogens force you to. And again, I kind of bang this drum. I recommend people to take at least magic mushrooms. Take some mushrooms, they're lovely. And they will really kind of expand your mind in what you're thinking. But yeah, I mean, you have to respect these things as well. They're not toys.
Well, thanks a lot for that. We're at your destination.
Yes, we are.
And we wish you well.
I love this idea, this concept that you've got of doing the interviews in the car. I think that's really cool. I hope that leads to something, or I hope it's doing something that you're really digging.
All right, thanks. We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.